Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam. My name is Kalakanti Dasi. In this short video, I will take you on a tour through the archive of Swami Sadananda Dasa and his disciples, the Sadananda Grantha Mandir. The Sadananda archive moved from Sweden to Flensburg, Germany in 2017. It contains the library, letters, photos, notebooks and diaries of Swami Sadananda Dasa and his disciple Vamandas, Walter Eiglitz, and Marte Kalmbach. In 2015, the works and books of Georg Wagner, another disciple of Sadananda, were added. I live in the archive in a 12 square meter room in Flensburg, Germany. Shastras are everywhere, on shelves, in cupboards, and in suitcases. The books are in German, English, Swedish, Sanskrit, Hindi, and Bengali. First, I cited and sorted all material and translated the titles that were written in Devanagari or the Bengali alphabet. Something special is Sadananda's card file with Sanskrit technical terms in alphabetical order. He always emphasized that we have to unlearn first all we have learned and then start anew with the ABC. Otherwise, we would only project meanings of Maya concepts onto the transcendental concepts of the Bhakti theology. Here you see the complete 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's take out chapter 46 to 49. I would like to show you how Sadananda worked with it. He inserted blank pages and translated both the verses and the tikas systematically. All sensitive and fragile material, like notebooks and diaries, is stored in boxes in a chronological order. Let's have a look into box 39 with notebooks from Sadananda from the 50s. Here we have the Brahma Vaivata Purana, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu on Raga Nuga Bhakti, and a translation of the discourse on Madhura Rasa from Jaivadharma. Let's start with the Brahma Vaivata Purana. First comes Brahma Kanda. Then Prakriti Kanda. And we move on to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that deals with Raga Nuga Bhakti. Let's move on to the next notebook. Here you have the Prataha Lila according to Sri Krishna Avanamritam, Govinda Lilamritam, Krishna Kanamritam, and Brihat Bhagavatamritam. This is Radha's place in Yavat. we have a closer look at the Sri Krishna Bhavanamrita. Here you have the teacup. Now we move on to a translation of Priti Sandarbha. Very often I find loose pieces of paper with notes in the notebooks and books. They are collected separately in files sorted by subject. First quotes from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Amrita Pravaha Bhasya to Chaitanya Charitamrita 7.3. Then notes on the German poet Hölderlin from 1941, that is during the internment in the camp in British India during the Second World War. Next comes a verse from Krishna Karnamritam. Then follows a map from his travels to the Himalayas and the places he visited there. Other holy places in Raj, and eventually a map of the temple in Jagannath. Storing the Shastras is not everything. My seva also includes mending and conserving the Shastras. This includes fixing frayed edges, removing old tapes and glue, and filing them away safely. Some papers are more than 80 years old, and the paper slowly crumbles away. In a letter to Vamandas, Sadananda explains what Shastra Seva means. One should not poke around in the text and translate words, but in the desire to serve and to listen, one has to grasp what is said, and in which context, from whom to whom, in which inner attitude. The revelations of the Vedas, etc., are not subject to intellectual exploitation, the object of knowledge and wanting to know, but of service and listening. Now let's have a look at the letters from Sadananda to Vamandas and other disciples. First come the letters from the British Indian internment camp during the Second World War, where Sadananda and Vamandas met. As Sadananda was most times sick in the hospital, these are the first letters from Sadananda to Vamandas. Despite being sick, they worked continuously with the Shastrams. In 1950-51, Vamandas visited Sadananda in India, and they traveled all over India to visit the holy places. After that, Sadananda fell very ill and was brought into the hospital as an emergency case. In later letters to Vamandas, Sadananda provides him continually with translations from the Shastras to enable Vamandas to write books about Bhakti Yoga and especially work on the important book about Chaitanya. The basis for future research and seva is the catalogue. The catalogue of the books is done. It includes time and place of acquisition if possible, and thereby helps to reconstruct the timeline of Sadananda's whereabouts. The books were received via the literary estate of Sadananda, Vamandas, Mate Kalmbach, and Georg Wagner. Many of them had gone on a long odyssey before they all were rejoined in the present archive again. The machine-typed manuscripts are also finished. They were typed from the handwritten manuscripts by Mate Kalmbach and other European disciples, or were dictated by Sadananda directly. Through the estate of Georg Wagner, many duplicates were added, but also new texts were discovered. As Vamandas, Walter Eidlitz was already a public figure early in his life as a poet in Austria, as well as later as a travel author and expert on Bhakti Yoga in Sweden. There is extensive material about him to be found in the newspapers, starting from 1913, which is also collected in digital form. It is interesting to compare the publication of his works in parallel in order to see how they were received. Sorting and summarizing the notebooks and diaries remains a huge task. The notebooks and diaries are often in a bad physical shape and are written with pencil. Eventually, all will have to be digitalized in order to avoid to touch them too often. The notebooks of Mate Kalmbach contain, apart from her private studies, many dictations from Swami Sadananda Dasa, especially on Raganuga Bhakti. Thank you for listening. If you would like to see some of the works that are already typed and available online as PDF, or if you would like to purchase the English translation of Amanda's book on Chaitanya or other books, please visit Sadananda's website under www.sadananda.com. However, our seva is not about producing books, but about serving God in His word form. Therefore, I would like to close with the following words by Sadananda. Without knowing that one is lonely and alone, like on a sea-beaten island, with only the Chaitanya Charitamritam and the Bhagavatam, and seriously struggling for the meaning of each word, so that one finds the way and does not get lost, one can never understand what Krishna and Chaitanya Deva want. The thought whether and what one could communicate thereby to others, if at all, must be completely eliminated. As soon as the idea of publicity, wanting to publish, wanting to talk about it is included, everything goes wrong. What really matters is not how and where we stand in the eyes of others, whatever they may expect, but that we serve Him and His words, take them seriously, and work hard. Only 1/1,000,000th of what one has earned through hard work can be shared with others by His grace. But this millionth can only be given if one has the million in one's heart.